Hey guys, welcome to Local Energy Week 36 with Wade Spear and Peter Brecht. All I want to share with you is, first of all, we're a family-friendly show. We really don't want to talk about politics, but there's a lot going on out there right now with layoffs, and we really don't want to ignore the elephant in the room. The second thing is we're not a financial advice show, so anything we talk about that's financial related or has to do with even figuring out projections on wells, things like that, if we don't get into the details, please take it with a grain of salt. We're here to educate, we're here to ask questions and learn from the best. So without further ado, here is this week's episode of Local Energy. All right, here we are, Wade. I don't know what we're talking about today, but
Me either.
you're in a car.
Yeah, I'm at a volleyball tournament today. My oldest daughter, she's a senior in high school, and
Yeah.
they're playing in a volleyball tournament. I try not to miss those things. I really enjoy them. It's a lot of fun watching them play. We're
Well,
down in
you
Oklahoma City today.
okay? Awesome. I was there a couple weeks ago,
That's
but
right.
anyways, you are, I think, like me. I literally will work early, as early as I have to, in order to make sure that I've got time to carve out for the kids. We're going to this afternoon, and I was like, okay, I got a bunch of stuff I got to get done today, but we're going to a Savannah Bananas baseball game tonight.
Oh my
So
gosh, we tried to get
we
bananas tickets, and like they sell out immediately. My boy loves it. I mean, just loved it.
we have not gone, and my son is 6. He's obsessed with baseball. And so I got on their raffle list because you can't really buy like people are that are inside kind of know like when to get them and how to get them. I've heard nothing but good things, but we went to the Air and Space Museum here in San Diego last weekend, and I got a notification that we were like there was like I don't know 6 tickets available, and I got on there. I just grabbed. I'm getting 4 of them,
Yep.
so
Yep.
it was kind of a rash decision, but we're going.
Right.
So,
Man, it was
should be good.
so little offshoot of that story. So a couple years ago, my boy, like, he followed this guy called Coach Rack on on what was it, YouTube or whatever, and he runs this baseball camp called Not Your Average Baseball Camp. And it's a super fun camp. They have major leaguers come in and do it. It's a free camp, like only like 200 kids can go.
Hmm,
But he has this other guy, my gosh, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he was awesome. But they have all these guys, and, like, he gets to go out there. He worked with Coach Rack, with all these pros, like Bruce Bolt was there, like, handing out free batting gloves and all this stuff. And then it turns out, like, a few months after that, Coach Rack joins the Bananas. And so, I mean, it was awesome. Like,
my
he's
gosh,
the
that's
one of the
awesome.
outfielders who does the flips whenever he catches and all that, but it was amazing. Go out
Yeah.
there, and if your boy loves baseball, see if you can get him signed up for, it's called NYABC, and I mean, it was amazing. He was just in heaven for,
Okay.
like, 3 days. It was awesome.
Okay. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, he's got his first baseball game that he's playing in tomorrow. So, he's all geared up and he's just it's every
Ready to hit
boy's dream, I
dingers.
think, to go play baseball on the field. Oh,
That's
he loves
right.
it. And we've been going to the field. There's a field like walking distance from our house. So every night we grab a bucket of balls and just go down there and we just hit balls for an hour,
Work on
2
grounders
hours.
and yeah,
It goes by so fast, but it's amazing.
that's awesome.
Anyways, cool. Well, that's the American dream. And anyways, lots going on in the news. Yesterday, there was kind of this feeling, I don't know, it was just maybe I just had a bad day, but I saw, there's a ton of layoffs with Exxon and Conoco. Just a lot going
Yep.
on right now.
Those are huge numbers. 20 to 25% is huge.
Huge numbers. And I was talking to my dad last night at dinner. We went to a family dinner, and I didn't grow up in an oil and gas family. I grew up in a car family.
Okay.
Everything that we talked about was car industry related or mechanical and that kind of
Right.
thing. And so the energy industry was never really something that we considered. But I was kind of thinking about this and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So we have Gavin Newsom in California that's talking about running for president, and he's getting just insane amounts of money right now to actually launch his campaigns. On the other side of it, we have Trump that's talking about, unleashing American energy. And California's policy failures for the energy industry, I think, are pretty obvious. Maybe not to the people living here, but to people outside. There's a lot going on. And so I started having this conversation with my dad, and it sort of dawned on me that I think the next election, and I don't want to get political. The show's not meant to be political. But if you look at it strategically, there is such a huge conversation around energy right now that I think one of the big topics going into the next election is going to be energy related, maybe more so than the past elections. I don't know if maybe that's just a Californian's perspective, but I mean, as a whole, do you see that being a potential conversation? Because if Newsom runs, his
Uh-huh.
opponents are going to say, look at California's energy policy. If he doesn't run, and you might not want to go near this topic, I understand, but I think that there's this two diametrically opposed ideas on both sides. And then not only that, but whenever we elect a red president, it seems like drilling goes down and all this, and then have a blue president. I mean, just look at the pattern, right? So
Right. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
unpack this and understand it, but it's so confusing how it all works. Like it's almost like, my I just sometimes I feel like it doesn't really matter what we say. It's just such a it goes different directions no matter what. I just don't know. I think energy is going to be a big part of this. And if you look at, Liberty Energy's, CEO coming in and being, it's
Right.
like all of these different pieces are just because of energy. Is Trump onto something? I guess. I don't know. And I can totally cut this out of the podcast if we don't want to talk about it.
No, I mean, I've got no problem talking about it. I mean, I think you're hitting on all the different things that we've dealt with for decades in oil and gas. I mean, I would say one of the things that we've started seeing change is maybe what you'd call the demand, right? So a year and a half ago, I kind of read this white paper. It's called Situational Awareness. It's about AI data centers. It's about, one of the big challenges that the AI data centers face. I mean, they've got all the technical challenges of, getting GPUs and doing all these different things. But a lot of those are what in this white paper, at least, it talked about those were solved and they could be solved kind of quickly. But the long term challenge that a lot of these people faced was power generation, right? Like where are they going to get the energy to be able to run these data centers, And so that was the number one challenge they faced because the lead time on it was so long. You can't just say, hey, we're going to stand up this huge facility and then, 4 weeks later, you've got enough power to run it. The infrastructure build takes forever.
Yeah.
And so I think that, that for me was kind of the start of this, like, oh, this is a big change because also in that data, in that white paper, they talked about this being like a matter of national security. And I think as like maybe the government or people in government start to look at, AGI and all of this development as a matter of national security, like we need to be first,
Mhm.
we need to be best, we can't fall behind. Like that's where I think power starts really coming to the forefront because there has to be some source for it. And so I think that drives it. Now, the other thing that you hit on too is like oil and gas typically leads red, votes Republican. And the rhetoric behind it is, drill baby drill and embrace American energy and or unleash American energy, all these different things. But I'll tell you what, like I mean, we've
Mhm.
we've woken up to it in our industry that it's just not good for our prices. That prices
Yeah.
go down whenever we start using terms like that. But then whenever like you hit on a Democratic president comes in or they start talking about, alternative energy sources and going away from oil and gas, well, then prices go up. And so like we're constantly in this
Hmm.
in this state of flux going back and forth and dealing with that pendulum swing. We're
Yeah.
just at the point now to where we expect it, and trying to deal with it. And these layoffs and things, I think what you're probably seeing as well is increased efficiency, not just through the drill bit, but also in the back office. Using some of these
Mhm.
things like AI to help and improve workflows and even replace people in some of those workflows. And so
Mhm.
we're kinda, I say, like oil and gas is getting squeezed from a lot of sides and you're just going to if you're going to survive, you have to be efficient. And that's where we've always been. And it's just the scale is changing and the pace is changing now. It's just becoming faster and faster. And so it's just more important to be adaptable and kind of change with the times and stay on the forefront of these things. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of where we fall.
I love your perspective on that. It's hard to find news sources these days that'll talk about subjects, I think, with understanding that it's a pendulum, right? And so you kind of have to learn how to be between both of them. So, but no, there's a
Yeah.
lot going on right now.
If your job is dependent upon who's in the White House, you're in trouble. You know what I mean? Like if the viability of your company is dependent upon who's in the White House, like every 4
Yeah.
years you're going to be in big. So it's just one of those things that
Yeah,
you have to be able to play both sides of that.
absolutely. I mean, you know, growing up in California in an industry myself, automotive, where that was highly reliant on the government's sort of interaction. And I mean, there's a lot going on there,
Right.
in terms of just think about all the electric vehicle credits and having to figure
Right.
out how to chase those down 10 years ago,
Right.
right? But at least for us, because we knew we were never going to become a Republican state overnight, it was like, okay, we have some sense of predictability, right? With that. So
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you live. I mean, just we're all trying to, I guess, like, cope is the wrong word, but we're all trying to adapt and
Adapt.
become,
Yeah.
just continue what we're doing. That's the reality.
Yep.
So,
Yep. I'll tell you too,
anyways,
one little have you seen I follow it. I saw somebody posted on Twitter the other day. It's kind of funny. Like one of the ways to kind of tie in the car industry in with oil and gas. There's a guy out there. I can't remember who it is. I'll try and give him a shout out if I find it. But he
yeah,
has a Ford Raptor Index on like Auto Trader in Midland.
yes,
And he's like, you can tell how oil and gas is doing by how many Raptors are for sale in Midland. And it was whenever I
yep,
worked out in the field, we all pulled fifth wheels out to location, and we lived in our own
hmm
fifth wheels. And I'll tell you, like, whenever oil and gas died into 2008, going into 2009, like, fifth wheels were as cheap as you could ever get them during that time. And it was because there's just this huge
yeah,
surplus of guys who are no longer working on the rigs and living out there anymore.
right. No,
Challenging
it
times.
changes. That Raptor index is funny. I think I follow the same guy, or I've seen his post.
Right.
Man, talk about a like a brilliant economic indicator, right?
Yeah.
Just from
Well,
kind
you've
of
seen
looking at it.
the
But
the Pentagon Pizza Tracker? Have you seen that too? How they follow that?
yes, I have seen that. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
like, they're like, "Oh,
yeah.
something's going on tonight because Domino's is, like, going crazy at 1 AM, and it's right next to the Pentagon, so
Well, that and this would not be a proper podcast episode if we didn't bring up Taylor Swift. I mean, come on, man. Like, there is so much Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. I mean, they're watching their airplanes now, tracking where their airplanes are going all the
oh my
time, and
gosh.
it's
I mean,
impressive.
we listen to her music sometimes, but, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that the wedding announcement was, like, earth-shattering in
Yeah.
our household, so
It wasn't in my household either, except for my wife is like, I'm obsessed with marketing stuff. And to me,
okay.
like, all
That
these
yeah.
people are like, oh, what a beautiful engagement thing. And I'm like, it was planned. Like, they had camera crews and like staff. And it wasn't just Travis Kelce setting up a bunch of flowers. It was like, they had so much into that. So, anyways,
I mean, come on, you had that much money, you wouldn't be setting up flowers yourself either? There's gonna be a
no,
Netflix
yeah.
deal in a couple years, there'll be a Netflix deal kinda going through the
Oh,
whole deal, I'm sure. So,
yeah. Who
yeah.
knows? All right. So I got to ask, your hat, it says train, but it's got some fancy one font. Like, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
pretty
got
cool
a
hat, actually.
yeah, I love it, it's pretty neat, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so this is a hat for, it's a company called D1. It's,
Okay.
kinda the focus is on, like, scholastics, so, like, youth, athletic training, trying to bring, like,
Okay.
D1 training experience to kinda your local area, and, it's not just for kids, though, it's also got an adult portion of it, and my wife and I bought a franchise that we're gonna start in Tulsa here pretty soon. We've loved the team, we've met the team a couple of times, and,
Yeah.
we've worked out at different gyms, and we've taken our kids to different gyms, and being able to go to a place kinda, the same area together, like, we wouldn't necessarily work out together, but, work out the same place kinda at the same time and love the way that they train and the way they approach everything, and so we're jumping into that. We'll be probably we're in the real estate process right now, so we're gonna be starting something here in a few months, but, we love sports, love being around kids and stuff, so for us, it was a
Yeah.
natural, but I was noticing your hat too. I mean, it looks like you've got, like, a cattle brand on there.
It does look like a cattle brand. It's
I
actually,
like it.
so I got this. Yeah. It's probably my favorite. Like, the branding geek in me is just obsessed with it. And then it just goes so much deeper than that. But this is, the hat I'm wearing is for Anchor Watch. So they're a Bitcoin insurance company. And man, if you look them up, and you go into these rabbit trails, it's amazing. So they are they're a Lloyd's cover holder, and they
Okay.
came up with what's called the Trident Vault. And so it's a way of storing your Bitcoin, insuring yourself from wrench attacks and things like that. So basically, if someone were to, try to get a hold of you, you couldn't unlock your Bitcoin for a certain amount of time and stuff. And so, anyways, I've been listening to them on a couple of their podcasts. Rob Hamilton, just fantastic, brilliant mind. But but really cool stuff. And so I just love the brand, and so I was able to get my hands on a
Okay.
hat, and here I am. But no, I
All right.
I love their stuff, and but it's a cool logo, and I can't believe like anytime you can get the .com, for something cool, and I'm like, you guys got anchorwatch.com is pretty cool. So, anyways, if you're a Bitcoiner, check them out. If you're not, it doesn't matter. It's
No, but
irrelevant.
now
But they're
you're
doing
gonna
cool
make me
stuff.
look. I thought it was like a Western brand or something, you know?
Yeah, well, and there it's and so it's got this like for me is though there's this insurance component, there's Bitcoin. Bitcoin to me is energy related industry as well.
Right.
So it's like kind of like it's an amalgamation of like all these really cool like all the
Okay.
things that I love kind of fall into
Right.
it. So,
That's
anyways,
pretty cool.
I didn't want to talk too much about Bitcoin, but I can't hide it. I can't hide it anymore. It's such a cool
The
topic.
Bitcoiners never can, man. The Bitcoiners never can.
I know. My wife's like, "You should just stop. No one cares." And I'm like, "I know, but I do, and that's what matters." So, all right. So we should talk about oil and gas because that's what we're here for, and we have
That's
touched
right.
on a little bit today, but a couple of things. So, I was there's this guy again. I'm going back to Twitter, but he's been posting stuff about offshore and
Okay.
the amount. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of like onshore drilling and what goes on
Okay.
there. But then you look at the offshore stuff, and this isn't necessarily. I know that you're not an offshore, and they're
Yeah,
so
not my
different. They're
specialty.
just, but
Right.
I was just I'm blown away by how much goes into drilling something offshore. Like the amount of paperwork and regulation and planning is feels like it's tenfold what it would be onshore. But I found that there were two acronyms that I didn't know. I've never heard of them before, and I think they're drilling terms. So the first one is we're gonna find out. Okay, I think you got this. The first one is POOH.
Yeah. Pull out of hole. It's synonymous with like trip
There
out
you
a
go.
hole or whatever. Yeah. So
Okay.
everybody do TOH, TOOH, POOH. I hate POOH for some reason. You know how guys like, all the frat guys, FRAC or FRACK, all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
I'm the same way with that. TOOH. I hate reading POOH on my reports. I just hate it. I don't know.
Oops, lost Wade. So Wade is not currently on. I think he's doing a pretty good job though. What else do you guys want us to talk about? I have no idea. We're gonna cut that section out. All right.
I had do not disturb on, and then I got like 12 notifications all at the same time. Literally, like all of a sudden, like email, 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 call, text. I was like, what is going on?
All right. So closely related to that term is RIH.
Okay, so that's running hole. It's RIH,
Yep.
TIH, tripping hole, same thing. Like, I don't really, yeah, I don't feel as, I don't feel as strongly about that one. So that's fine. Yep.
Okay. All right. There you
Yep.
go.
Either way,
All right. And then there was another one. EUR.
estimated ultimate recovery. So that's a
There you
production
go. That's
term,
it.
right?
That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
Yep. That's a production term. Yeah. And
Yep.
a lot of times, like, when they're looking at like the PV10 and all that stuff, they're talking, EUR is somewhere close in that
EUR.
vicinity at least. So
Yeah, so they
trying to
go in,
understand
look
how
at the
that works.
production. They go in, look at their production, they'll fit a curve to it. That curve projects out ahead of you over time based
Hmm.
on everything, and we'll give you EUR for water, oil, gas, all your stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
still getting them.
You
All
still
right, I
got
feel
it.
good. All right.
Yeah. You're three. I think you're 3 for 3 today. You were 3 for 3 last week. I'm just not going to stump you. So it's all right. We're just going to keep
I'm
learning.
gonna miss one that's really easy, and everybody's gonna make fun of me. So keep them coming. Let's do it.
Um,
Bring it on.
So Phoenix Energy, there's a company out there, Phoenix Energy, and they are trying to raise a ton of money right now. And for some reason, got the ad on LinkedIn. I clicked on the link, and now this ad is following me everywhere. Like their marketing
All
team
right.
they are on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're in my inbox. I don't even know how they
Okay.
got my email address, but
Okay.
somehow I'm now targeted for Phoenix Energy. And so I was talking to because he was like, "Hey, I want to look at all the wells. Like if you're raising this much money and you've got this many wells, like I want to see what the production is." So it's pretty interesting. Like you could actually access this data. It can become publicly available and you can start to see like what
Yeah.
the production's going to be for a
Right.
particular company. Like has that always been the case or like at what point are these wells publicly available for production? Like what does that look
Yeah.
like?
I'll tell you this, everywhere's a little bit different. A lot of that's driven by state rules and regulations. But yes, production data is public information. I think in Oklahoma, it's like 6 months is when you have to start releasing it. So essentially the first 6 months, you're kind of everybody's a little bit in the dark, so that's kind of your jump time if you need to
Mhm.
release some other stuff up, or if you want to, get plans started on an offset or anything like that. Like, you and honestly, some companies will hold on to that data until that 6 month mark, and then they'll send it out to everybody else, like the investors in the well, and then the state regulatory agencies. Sometimes they'll just be sending it out from day one, sending out flowback reports and all those different things. So that's a little bit different, but
Hmm.
at some point the state does require that you release that data. And then there's entire companies that are built off of getting that data, kind of accumulating it in one spot. That's your Enverus, your IHS, all of those people are really what they're
Mhm.
just doing is taking public data and putting it in a very accessible format. Now they do some other things with it too, and some of their higher tier services allow you to do some analysis. Essentially, what Forecast is doing as well. That's another alternative company that does
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff. And so you're taking this public data and giving information out there, right? And so smart investors
Okay.
do that. You pay your fee and
Gotcha.
you get your access, and like you're doing right there. You're saying,
Yeah, I would imagine.
yeah, that's exactly it. So yeah, so that data
Huh.
is public
Okay.
and available. Production data, usually too. There's frac
I would
data.
love.
Sorry, I was going to say the frac data is available too. That's one of the things on the environmental side. They want to know everything that you're pumping down hole, and so all of that has to be turned in as well.
Okay. That makes sense. I would encourage anyone that wants to get copious amounts of ads to go look at Phoenix Energy and what they're doing. Now, maybe it could be a great investment. It could not be. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not an investor, but I would love to. It would be really cool to talk to someone that does this stuff and analyzes financials of these deals. I think it's kind of putting your money where your mouth is in a real way.
All
Especially like
right.
you got to know the operator, you got to know all of these different pieces of it before you say,
Right.
okay, great, I'm going to go sink $1 million into this, right? And okay, I'm going to get 10% return on my money. Like, okay, that's pretty good. Like, I'm not going to walk away from that, but um and then you got to look at historic stuff too. Someone made a comment, like I'll give you an example. Carvana.
Okay.
I saw Carvana's stock back in 2020. It just skyrockets, and then it completely dumped. It was like $3.75 a share or something. I think around 22, 23, somewhere in there. And I was sitting there with my brother, and I was like, "Man, this would be a good stock to get in on right now." And he's like, "Well, like, why do you think that?" I'm like, "Because their business model is great." He's like, "Well, then why don't you do it?" And I said, "The reality is the guy that started it, Ernest Garcia III, was convicted of bank fraud back in the
Right.
early 90s." And I said, "So I don't want to be associated with a company that has had someone that had, so it's like, even though
Right.
something's good, like the point is like, if you're not vetting kind of the entirety of the thing, it becomes interesting." And I think oil and gas, there's a lot of people out there that can tell a great story, but the reality
All
is
right.
like, how do you ultimately, figure out where that goes? So
Well,
again,
that's the deal too. I mean, anytime
not
you're looking at
financial
those kinds of
advice, just more of an observation.
Yeah, anytime you're looking at those kinds of deals too, I mean, there's tons and tons of variables, and some of those variables you can't control. If it's not hedged production in the future, then a lot of your revenue stream is going to be dependent upon what prices are. And I'm sorry, but as
Yeah.
these operators, no operator controls that price.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. I got one more thing to go over with you,
Okay.
and we'll see if you have any more to add. But, all right, so I'm on Collide. They've made a ton of changes to their platform, and they're just trying to get a lot of engagement, which is great. And I've gone on there and I've learned a lot. But one of the topics that came up was superstitions on the oil field. And
Okay.
Juan Macias, friend of the show, he came up. He's like, "These are the first three superstitions that came to mind for me." So I'm going to tell you the first one. I want you to guess the second one. But the
Okay.
first one is cherry pies. You don't eat or
Yes,
bring a cherry pie on pad. If you do, something is going to go wrong. What do you think the
I've
second
heard
one
it.
is?
The second one's fried chicken,
Yep, chicken bones. Don't eat
chicken bones.
bone-in
Okay.
chicken on pad.
All
Yep,
right. I've
you
heard
have to
fried
eat
chicken. All
boneless
right.
chicken or nothing. All right.
Okay.
The third one, do you want to take a guess on the third one?
I have zero idea. I mean, there's so many, I'm sure.
All right, I know. Don't clean your hard hat on a job.
I haven't heard that one, but nobody cleans their hard hat.
Okay.
So, yeah, not a concern.
Yeah, exactly. Now, How do we feel about stickers on hard hats? That's the real question I got, because it seems like I see
Yeah.
all these pictures, clean hard hat, not. I mean, there's got to be stickers, right?
Yeah, there's tons of stickers. Tons and tons of stickers.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
No,
All
I
right.
don't think
There's
anybody's
nothing
got any.
against that.
Usually there's no problem. I mean, I don't know, maybe a safety guy wouldn't like stickers because maybe it covers up, like, a crack or something in your hard hat, I don't know, but, like, I see guys with tons of stickers and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Even sometimes the safety guys have, like, I know one of the rig companies I used to go on, they had a little sticker that you had to put on your hat to show that you had been through their, like, safety training, and then it had like, had a little date and all that stuff on it, so, you were good for, like, a year or something like that,
Hmm.
so, yeah, so stickers on hard
Okay.
hats, everybody does it, and, yeah, there's tons of them out there.
All right. Cool. Well, the good news is, along with stickers, so I had to get another shipment of hats, so I ordered a bunch of more
Okay,
local energy hats. And
okay.
then I ordered some stickers along with those too. And then
Alright.
I'm super excited, but wait, we actually have our own hot sauce. We're getting our hot sauce actually
Nice.
bottled this week.
Okay, okay.
So I got to get the labels done, but friction reducer is going to be coming to a grocery store near you.
Alright, that's awesome.
So yeah. All right, guys. We didn't talk a lot about oil and gas this week. Wade and I just wanted to hang out and have a good time. But anyways, catch us on TikTok, YouTube, go to localenergy.com, email me, email Wade. We love to talk to you guys. Hopefully we'll be having a couple of great interviews coming up in the future. But Wade, have a great weekend, and thank you guys for listening to Local Energy.
Thanks, Peter.